Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video, we'll be unboxing the Warhammer Underworlds Beastgrave, the WURMSPAT expansion. So here we go. Here's the Warhammer Underworlds Beastgrave, and this is the WURMSPAT, and a great looking set. And I really can't wait to get this open and see what's inside. This is the first Beastgrave set that I'll be opening here on the channel, and I've got all the other expansions to work through and also the main game, so look out for those coming to the channel soon. And if you're watching this well into the future, then they'll probably be on there already. But in this video we'll go through the box contents, and then we'll take a look at the cards quickly, and then I'll build the miniatures so we can see them built, how big they are, and have a really good look at the detail. And then after that I'll go through the fighter cards alongside the miniatures, and we'll take a look at all the cards, and I'll pick out a few of the top picks and we can just work through a few of them and see the details. So here's the artwork, really nice on the front, and I really like the style that the Warhammer Underworlds goes with. And the new Direchasm is also done in this same kind of red packaging with a similar artwork. And I noticed with Shadespire and Nightvolt, they kept, for those two seasons, they kept the artwork very similar, and they're doing the same for the branding for Beastgrave and Direchasm. And so it tells you on the side, this is nice, it tells you like what's going to be in there. And these are all easy to build miniatures, and just construct your deck, and then it's just tells you here it's a game expansion. And on the other side, just a little bit more artwork there. And then on the back, it tells us exactly what we're going to get inside. So we're going to get 3 easy to build Citadel miniatures, and the photos that they put on the back, these are actual size, so you can have a good idea of how big they're going to be before you get them out. And then altogether we're going to get 3 fighters, 3 fighter cards, 32 Grimwatch, and 27 universal upgrade, power and objective cards. And then here's the 3 miniatures that you're going to get in the box. And it says here, the WURMSPAT spread plague and corruption through Beastgrave. Upgrade Warhammer Underworlds with the WURMSPAT expansion, containing the WURMSPAT warband and 59 unique cards to enhance your fighters. This pack provides new tactics and challenges for Warhammer Underworlds Beastgrave. So there we go, looking good. So let's get it open and see what's inside. And so these are great sets, perfect obviously for Underworlds, but also good to add some heroes and allies to your Warcry warbands. Right, so that's everything in the box, and inside just white, nothing printed in there. Put that to one side, and we get these nice little trays which keeps everything nice and neat and tidy, and also protects the cards, so that's really good. And so we've got our sprues. Let's take those out, and they come on these little kind of mini sprues, so we're going to get 2 of those. We're going to get a little instruction book, and then let's take the cards out. We get our WURMSPAT card set, and then I guess this is the universal card set. Let's put the tray out of the way for a minute. So we'll take a look at the sprues up close, then we'll flick through the cards, and then take a look at the instructions too. So here's our sprues, and what I really like about the Underworlds miniatures, all the bases are ready formed, so you just paint them and you don't have to do any craft or anything, which is really good. So you can assemble them really fast and then paint them and get them tabletop ready really quickly. But all of the miniature sets are different colours, so even if you didn't paint them, you could still play them on the Underworlds game against an opponent, and the colours aren't going to clash, unless of course you've got the same warbands. But here we are. So here's our first sprue, and you can see the details fantastic, really nice. These are formed really well, and big as well. They're going to be nice big bases, so these miniatures are going to be quite big. And with 3 of them, they're going to be pretty powerful, I'd imagine. And so we're getting some nice details there. Really good. And these look a lot like the kind of Nurgles you would expect. Got this little dude here. Another little one there. That's probably his body, is it? Yeah, I think that's the other part of his body. So really great. That's the first one. And then the second one. So again, we get this nice base. And they're all different, so always get a different base for each miniature, which is really good. And this is going to be one of the bigger dudes. There's his armour. Some nice detail there. So this one's really detailed with the chainmail underneath. Nice weapon there. That's really good. I like that. That's a good menacing shape. Really cool. And then we've got a couple of axes here. There we go. Really nice. So that's the sprue. So these are all push fit, but what I tend to do is I just trim these off, these little pegs, because they don't fit well at all. And just trimming those off gets you a better seal. You're still going to find some gaps, but I've never used green stuff, but I've heard a lot of people use that. So you could use green stuff to fill the gaps. But I do find some of these miniatures from the Underworld sets don't go together perfectly. But definitely trim these off, makes a huge difference. And then glue them. Even though it says not to glue them, or you don't have to glue them, definitely glue them. You get a really good seal. And then when you paint them, you're going to get a better finish. So there we go. So now we've looked at the sprues. Let's take a look at the instruction book. Here we are, so our instruction book. And these are very small. And it says here, before assembling your miniatures, read through the instructions in this book carefully and retain them for future reference. And so opening it up, with these, there's not going to be any variation normally. They literally are push fit, and what you see on the box is what you're going to get. And so you can see here, very simple to put together. Again, trim these off and you'll get a nicer, more flush finish. So nothing too complicated there. This isn't going to take long to build those. And there's no paint guide here. But let's just check that box, because sometimes they put a paint guide on the box. And in this case, they haven't. So no paint guide, but you've got a little reference there. And there's plenty of material online to see about painting them. But I'll be doing a video anyway, so look out for that coming soon. I'll be painting all the different expansion sets for the different Beastgrave, Direchasm, and Night Vault. So there'll be loads of painting videos for Warhammer Underworlds coming soon. Okay, now let's take a look at the cards. And so we've got the WURMSPAT cards and then the universal ones. So let's take a look at the universal ones first. I'll just be careful opening these up. I don't want to scratch them. Let's get it open there. And this is a great part of the hobby, collecting the cards. I'm really enjoying learning about all the different kind of tactics you can use, and I'm learning to play with the Direchasm set. And so I've played a good few games now, and it's great fun, really enjoying it. And I'm looking forward to getting Beastgrave open and seeing what's in there. But here we go, here's the cards then. So we've got all our power cards, and then we've got our objective cards there. And so we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we get 9 objective cards. Let's have a quick look through those. Again, I'll pick out some of the best ones and we can talk through them later on. So there's the first one. All looking nice. Loving the artwork. Really great. And it's such a totally different style to the Warcry artwork and branding. So it's really nice to have this and to kind of get used to something a little bit different, learn some new rules. Really great. Oh, this one looks good already. Awesome. So that's the objective cards. They're the universal ones. Now we've got a universal upgrade and power cards, and you can see these have got different icons at the top. So we get the dagger, we've got this wheel. Let's split those up. And then we've got these cogs. So the cogs, those are our upgrades. And then these are called gambit cards. And so the one with the dagger is a ploy, and this one here is a spell. So these gambit cards you usually use after each round, sometimes after an activation or as a reaction. And then you can also upgrade your fighters with these, and you'd normally have to spend like a glory point to do that. So let's have a little flick through these. Again, I'll pick out some of the best ones and talk through later on once we've built the miniatures. But this will just give you a quick look, and mostly a look at the artwork. Really nice. I love the artwork, it's so great. Look at this one, that's really cool. And this is even very different to Direchasm. I'm really seeing a good difference here in the kind of style. I can't wait to open the Beastgrave set. There's some great miniatures in that. And there we go. So a nice selection there. So that's all the universal cards now. So now let's take a look at the ones that are specific for the WURMSPAT. And then this is like a pre-made deck. So you could just use these straight out the pack, and that's going to have everything you need for the WURMSPAT. And then once you get used to it, you can start bringing in some of these or some from the other expansions and the other game sets, and then start building your own deck. Okay, let's open the WURMSPAT cards. Again, I'll be careful here. I'll just take my time. Okay. And so I picked up some card protectors, some sleeves for all these cards now. So I've got quite a lot going on. And even for the Warcry ones, I wanted some protectors for it. So I'll do a separate video of those because they really do look after your cards. Okay, so here we are. So we get a little introduction to the WURMSPAT here. I'll read through it so it gives you a kind of flavour of what they're all about. The sorcerer, Fecular Fly Blown, was far from Beastgrave, hunched over a stained cauldron, when she read a sign in the cloying vapour rising from it. She saw a shard curse of endless sterility in which nothing stayed dead long enough to rot, and the effects of entropy were perpetually undone. Horrified, Fecula added foul ingredients to her pestilent brew, hoping to attract Nurgle's aid to halt the spread of this unplague. Drawn by the rancid odour, a monstrous worm maggot burst from the ground and swallowed the sorcerer and her 2 favoured bodyguards whole. This creature burrowed onwards until it could stomach Fecula's noisome stew no more. It burst into Beastgrave, where it disgorged the group in a tide of steaming vomit. Together, the WURMSPAT are resolved to cure the curse at the mountain's heart by spreading the filth so beloved to their deity. There we go, great introduction. So these guys have been spewed out into the mountain, and that's what they're up to there. So really cool, good introduction to them. And then we're going to get our fighter cards, so we'll get 3, 1 for each of them. And once I've built the miniatures, we'll have a good look at these fighter cards and go through all their stats. And then just with like the universal ones, we'll get our magic, our ploy, or our spell, sorry, our ploy, our upgrades, and then the power cards. So let's have a quick flick through so you see the whole deck. And again, I won't go through all of them, I'll just pick out some of the best. This is all part of the fun when you pick up a set. If you know, give you an idea of what this is like in this video, and if you wanted to pick up your own set, you can spend time reading and learning all about them. So there's some really great artwork again. Really nice. And I can't wait to read all these and find out what they're all about. So there we go. Quite a lot here. Really nice. Putrid Vomit. Awesome. So that's really great. So there we go. That's those ones. Now let's look at the objective cards. I'll probably pick out some of the higher value ones because they're usually more interesting. And also some like kind of ones that you can get immediately that you might include in or try and hope to get in the first round. Rotbringers. Nice. Sleeping Rot. There's lots of rot going on. There we are. So that's all the cards. And now I'll go and build those miniatures, and then we'll have a close look at them together, go through the fighter cards and a few of the top picks from the pack. So I'll see you back here in a second. Here we go, so we've built all the miniatures now, and there's 3, didn't take too long at all, just trimmed them up nicely, made sure I got rid of as many of the kind of mould lines as I could find, and trimmed up all the bits where I've cut the sprue, and I've glued these together so they're fixed, but the only one I didn't glue was this little dude here. I didn't glue him on because I think it'd be easier to paint him separately and just pop him on once you painted the bigger miniature. So we've got here Gulgotch the Butcher, Fecular Fly Blown, and Sepsimus Plague Sworn. And so let's take a look at each one individually, and then we'll go through the fighter card and go through all the stats. Let's start with Gulgotch the Butcher, and here you can see you get his name here, the faction rune mark, and you've got a photo here, image of him here that matches the miniature, so you can match it up with the correct fighter then. And then you can see here, here's his weapon, the Butcher's Blades, and these have got a range of 1. There's 3 attack dice, and you're looking for hammers here, and then you can deal 2 wounds if successful. And then down here, he's got a movement of 3. His defense characteristic is 1, so he can roll 1 dice to defend, and he can take 4 wounds. And with this fighter, when he's dealt damage by an attack action, you can reduce that damage by 1 to a minimum of 1 for each shield in the defense roll. So with this, even if the say the opponent rolls a critical and a hammer against him, and he rolls a shield, so he'd fail because of the critical roll, critical success, but because he got that shield, that damage will be reduced to a minimum of 1. Then we've got this gold section here, and this is the condition for the fighter to be inspired. And it says here, 3 or more enemy fighters are out of action and or have 1 or more wound tokens. So you can either have 3 or more enemy fighters taken out of action and or 1 or more wound tokens. So you don't have to have them taken out of action. They could just have 1 or more wound tokens. Okay, let's flip the card and see what the stats are for when he's inspired. And so you can see there, he's still got a movement 3, but now he's got 2 defense dice that he can roll, and he can still take 4 damage. And then here, the weapon is the same, still range 1, can make 3 attacks, and he's looking for the hammers, and he can make 2 damage. But we've got this additional here, which is a cleave, so that gives him a little bit extra power against anyone who's got the shield defense condition. And then again, when this fighter's dealt damage by an attack action, reduce that damage by 1 to a minimum of 1 for each shield in the defense roll. And now with 2 defense rolls, that's going to make this condition a lot more achievable. So there we go, that's our first fighter. That's Gulgotch the Inspired. And now the next one we'll look at is Fecular Flyblown. So this one's definitely my favourite miniature from the set. And the art on the card, I love it. It's really great. Kind of a hag figure, which is really awesome. And you've got to have a hag in a warband. So, and as the leader, this is a great miniature to have. And she's got this little kind of sidekick familiar here as well, this little beast. So here we go. So here's the name, Fecular Flyblown. And she's got this crown next to her name, which means she's the leader. She's also got this icon here, which is the wizard icon. And she's a level 2 wizard. And then there's the faction rune mark. And she's got a Rotwood Staff with a range of 1, can make 2 attacks looking for hammers, and then deals 2 damage. She's also got the magic, which is a Stream of Corruption with a range of 3, and then you've got the dice here, so we're looking for this symbol on the dice when we roll the attacks, and the number relates to the level the wizard's at here. So she'd have 2 dice in this stage, and then that'll deal 1 damage. Her movement's 3, she can make 1 dice defense and take 4 wounds. And then again, for the condition to be inspired, 3 or more enemy fighters are out of action and or have 1 or more wound tokens. And she's got the same ability here. When this fighter's dealt damage by an attack action, reduce that damage by 1 to a minimum of 1 for each shield in the defense roll. So now let's flip this over and see the inspired stats and see how that changes. And here we go. So this is remaining the same down here. The movement, defense and wounds are the same. And our abilities the same here. But it looks like with the Stream of Corruption, we've got a different symbol now that we're looking for. And we're still at a level 2, so it's still 2 dice. But there's more chance of getting this now with this symbol. The odds are in our favour. So there we go. That's Fecular Inspired. And that's the second miniature. So now let's look at the next one. Sepsimus Plaguesworn. So here's Sepsimus Plaguesworn, and this is the third and final fighter in the warband. And here we go, so we've got his name here, and he's got a weapon, which is Blighted Spear, and it's a range of 2, making 2 dice attacks looking for hammers, and dealing 2 damage. He's got a movement of 3, with 1 defense roll, and he can take 4 wounds. Again, his ability, when he's dealt damage by an attack action, reduce that by 1 to a minimum of 1 for each shield in the roll. And just like the others, his inspired condition's the same. So let's flip this over and see what happens when we inspire Sepsimus Plaguesworn. So he's got a little bit extra now. This has gone up, so he's got a movement 3. He can now make 2 defense rolls with a wound 4. This is also improved as well. So we've got a few extra stats here with the Blighted Spear. He can deal a little bit more damage, but he's got a new weapon called Whirling Spear. This has got a range of 1. He can make 3 attacks, but now he's looking for swords. And with this one, it's 2 damage. And this has got the Scything condition. So he can take out some numerous enemies if he's close enough to them. So that's really great. So that upgrades him there a fair bit, actually. And he certainly benefits from being inspired more than the other 2. and his condition here, his ability, remains the same. So that's all 3 fighters now. So I picked out some of the top picks from the cards. So let's first look at the ones that are specific to the WURMSPAT that came in the WURMSPAT deck. Let's start with the objective card, and I've picked this out. You win 3 objectives for this one, and this is called Strength of the Devoted. By sevenfold and 3, invincible are we, a quote by Sepsimus. And here it says that score this in the 3rd end phase if no friendly fighters are out of action. So you've got to get to the end of the 3rd phase and all still be in the fight. And I think with these guys using their ability to reduce the damage by 1, there's a good chance they could survive. They're pretty solid. They can take 4 wounds each, so there's a good chance you could do that. And with some of the cards you'll see in a bit, you can gain some extra movement as well if they need to get away, but they can certainly do damage up close. So there we are, that's the first card. Then for the upgrade, I picked out Hulkin Physique, and it says here, some Blight Kings are so monstrously bloated with power that they would make an ogre look scrawny by comparison. And with this one, it's -1 to the movement to a minimum of 0. And so this one is going to kind of reduce their movement, but they're going to gain an extra 1 to their wounds characteristic and an extra 1 damage to the fighter's range 1 attack actions. But this one is limited to Gulgotch, so a bit of tactics there, how you use that and when you employ it. So I like that one, that was a good upgrade. And next we got the spell card, and this one's called Rancid Visitations. And as a spell, this is only going to be used by Fecula, because she's like the wizard. And here we are. The very air curdles in my lungs, the blood thickens in my veins. Back, my sisters, before it is too late. My Morgwaith the Bloodied. And this is a gambit spell. And for this one, you need to roll 2 of the kind of lightning symbols. And if cast, each enemy fighter adjacent to the caster is dealt 1 damage. So if you can get her up close and then get that as a result, then that's going to be pretty cool to deal some damage to each enemy fighter adjacent to her. And finally, I've picked a ploy card, and this one is Rampant Disease. And this is a cycle. Merely standing in the presence of 1 blessed by Nurgle is enough to contract 7-fold sicknesses. Roll 1 attack dice for each enemy fighter adjacent to 1 or more friendly fighters. For each roll of a critical success, that enemy fighter is dealt 1 damage. So it looks like with these fighters, you've got to get them like up close to the enemy. So you want to be kind of trying to absorb as little damage as possible, but getting close enough so you can use these cards and these ploys and deal out that damage too. So these are the cards that are specific to the WURMSPAT deck. So let's look at the universal cards next. And the first universal card is an objective card. I like the look of this one, called Arcane Arrest. Not so fast, my little popling. And this is Fecula Flyblown there with a quote. And it says here, it's a surge. Score this immediately after a friendly fighter's spell that deals damage to an enemy hunter or quarry. So you can use this immediately and you'll get 1 glory point. The next card I liked was an upgrade, and this is called Sprinting Charm. And I thought this would be good if you want to improve the kind of movement for these ones. And you want to be getting this used early on, so you want to try and get an early objective for sure. And it says here, Sprinting Charm, even the hardiest warrior cannot keep up such a pace forever. +1 move in round 1, +2 move in round 3, and -1 move to a minimum of 0 in round 3. So I really like that. I thought that was a good one to use. And so now let's look at the last one. And this is our ploy called Flash of Foresight. I chose this mainly for the artwork. I really like this. Moment's inspiration can change the face of an entire battle. So Flash or Foresight. Pick 1. Pick 1 objective card in an opponent's hand. That opponent must reveal that card to you. Or look at the top card of your power or objective deck without revealing it and then put it back. So there you go. You get an idea of what your opponent might be up to tactically, but you can also get a little sneak preview of your own deck and see what's going on. So there we are. That's the cards I've picked out, and for both decks, the deck that's built specifically for the WURMSPAT and the Universal deck. So that's all the miniatures, everything you get in the box. They're assembled, and we've gone through the cards. I've got to say, I love this set. A really nice set, and good to get some Nurgle action going on in Beastgrave. And I'm looking forward to getting these painted and trying them out on the battlefield. But let me know what you think about them. Which one's your favourite? Have you played them before? How do they kind of operate? What are good tactics to use with the WURMSPAT? And also, is there any cards that you think work really well with them? I'd love to hear what you think. So add any comments and feedback in the comment section below. And also, if I make any mistakes or get anything wrong, I'm still learning the game. So please correct me and make sure I'm getting things right and on the right track. That'd be awesome. Thank you. I'll put links to this set in the description below, and that'll be an affiliate link to Element Games, but it won't cost you anything extra. In fact, it could save you up to 20% there at Element Games, and for every sale made through an affiliate link, I get a small commission, and that's going to help me develop the channel and create loads more videos. So thanks so much for that support. I really appreciate it. If you like the content I put on the channel and you'd like to support the channel a little bit further, then please check out my Patreon page. It's a great place. We hang out in the Discord, we share our work, chat about projects, vote on upcoming content for the channel, and you'll find some benefits there that you won't get anywhere else. So I'll put a link for that in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games.